Ben McKee, West Rucker, Go Vols 24/7 here with our full court press inside of Lucas Oil Stadium, where Tennessee is finishing practice on the other side of the curtain inside of this football stadium, not a basketball arena, as they prepare to face Kentucky in the Sweet 16 tomorrow night. There's plenty of storylines to discuss in that matchup, but of course, let's throw another storyline on it. And Rick Barnes was asked today about his plans, or asked about retirement rumors, and he said that as of today, he intends on coaching next year. And of course, in the typical Rick Barnes answer, he said that he's going to trust God to lead him to that decision, and trust God when it is time to make that decision. And he doesn't feel like, if it is time for him to hang it up, he doesn't feel like it is. And he said that he fully intends on
honking that horn.
Fully intends on being the head coach of Tennessee basketball next season.
Yeah, and I think, we've always said this with Rick. He's, I don't want to say impulsive, but sort of a spur of the moment kind of guy. Like, whenever he does eventually decide to retire, I think it's going to be him waking up one morning and being like, "Yep, today's the day." So I'm not saying that I don't believe what he said, because I do believe what he said, but I also think that he's not going to know until he knows. So, he used to joke all the time about Texas, or he'd walk after every season. He'd walk in there the next day and try to fire himself or whatever, and the athletic director would say, no, stay, or we want to keep you. And it was sort of a running joke that they had back in the day with him and DeLost Dodds, I think. But it's a big game, and he said, because of everything that he said about Ziegler in the past, he understood why people would think that, but that it genuinely has not crossed his mind, and that it's not something that he thinks about. So they just added a commitment, which he talked about. They plan to go big in the portal again, which he talked about. Like, he did not sound like a guy who was even considering retiring, and I think we would know maybe a little bit more if he was thinking about it. He could wake up after this win or loss, whatever it is, and change his mind, but I'd be a little surprised.
Yeah, and he said that he has not thought about it at all, and if there was a coach to take at face value for what they're saying, it would be Rick Barnes. Looking at this matchup tomorrow, Wes, I think a big key is going to be obviously Tennessee's perimeter defense. It was not good enough in those first two matchups, and it must be significantly better tomorrow night if it wants to play in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I've said this before. If something happens once, it could be a fluke or an accident. If it happens twice, it's hard for me to think that it's a fluke. Like, there's something Kentucky has done with X's and O's, whatever it's done. It has found open space against Tennessee where others have not. Now, Kentucky's also made some tough shots against Tennessee. I think we have to admit that. But they also got more open shots than just about anybody I've seen get against Tennessee, not just this season, but for a couple seasons. Like, they just got open look after open look after open look. And if that happens again with that Kentucky team, they're probably going to make shots again. They're a good shooting basketball team. So it's, again, a deal where Tennessee, on paper, is favored for a reason. Every statistic that sort of measures these two teams, every metric says Tennessee's a better team. But we've seen the two matchups, and we can't dismiss that either. So, again, I think it's fascinating. But if Tennessee leaves Kentucky open shots, it's going to lose third straight time.
Yeah, and Tennessee's going to have to make shots as well. Tennessee did not do a good job of that in the first two matchups. They did make double-digit threes in the first matchup, but when you take 45 of them and only make 11, that's not going to be a very pretty percentage.
Doesn't count.
The good news is, I think if you're on the Tennessee side, you should be very confident. I think the backcourt as a group has gotten much better since the last two times those two teams played, which they played in a 2-week span, and now it's going to be a month and a half since they have played. I think Tennessee's backcourt has gotten much better since then. I think Chaz Lanier, Jordan Gainey, Zakai Ziegler, that they have all elevated their game, and that's another thing that's going to really dictate who wins tomorrow night.
Yeah, one thing that Kentucky did a really, really nice job of against Tennessee defensively, Kentucky's not a great defensive team. It's not terrible, but it's not a great defensive team. But what Kentucky did a really good job of was letting the Tennessee players take shots that it wanted to take the shots. It was very good about being like, okay, we're going to try to chase Lanier and Gainey off the line. Other people, we're going to let them shoot. If they want to shoot and they make them, tip your cap and move on, but we're not going to let these certain guys take these certain shots. And they were able to have success with that. Some people try to pressure Ziegler. They kind of backed off Ziegler a little bit and kind of shut off lanes to the other guys. They did some stuff that really worked. And honestly, I think other teams have tried to copy some of that because it worked twice. Now Tennessee has played against that kind of style a couple times, and they've been able to have more success against it. So will that translate to this game? It should, but will it? I mean, that's the weird thing about it. Ben, I've covered a couple games in this building now where it's been kind of set up like this, where it's very clearly a football stadium that has been kind of cordoned off and it's temporarily a basketball space. It's different. And it's a big game. It's a big stage, biggest stage I think probably most of these players have played on. Lamont Butler certainly has, Ziegler and Meshack certainly have, but a lot of these guys haven't. So I want to see how they handle it because it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. I am curious to see how they handle that. I'm even more curious to see how they handle the intensity of the rivalry. There's been some things both ways with Sakai Ziegler and Lamont Butler this past week in which the other team has noticed. So which team handles the extra juice, because sometimes you can channel that extra energy, that extra pep in your step, and you can try and do too much. Which team is able to kind of still play within themselves while trying to stick it to the other team? I think that's going to go a long ways tomorrow as well.
It is, and certainly, I mean, obviously, this is about this game, right? That's all that matters right now is this game. But I think this is also a really good opportunity for the Tennessee program, just for this rivalry in particular, because the people who know this rivalry know exactly how fierce that it always is and always will be. And there's some people, even you're hearing talk around the country this week, I don't think people are talking quite as much about this game as I thought maybe they would. And this is a chance again for Tennessee to say, stop overlooking us. Yeah, as we say that as the T turns to a UK back there. But that's Tennessee saying, like, this is a big deal. We're a big deal. This rivalry, you can put it on the map right now. Go out there and play a fierce game, beat Kentucky, go to the Elite Eight. You'll have one of the biggest wins in program history, and you'll have done
the biggest win.
I think so too, but I was trying to qualify it. But yes, probably the biggest win in program history. Or, and on top of that, you magnify this rivalry, this university, it's a big opportunity, not just for these guys, but for the program too.
It absolutely is, and we'll have plenty of coverage throughout the rest of today and into tomorrow and throughout the weekend as long as Tennessee is playing, and even at that point, whenever the season ends, we'll have plenty of portal coverage as well. So we've got plenty of Tennessee basketball coverage coming your way. Be sure to check out the site at GoVols247.com. He's Wes Rucker. I'm Ben McKee.